To Mayor Hogsett and his staff, fellow Indianapolis residents, guests, and friends, good evening. Let us pray. Loving God, we give you thanks and praise for this day and time. As we've gathered together to listen to the mayor's vision and plan for our great city, we remember the prophet Jeremiah's words to the Babylonian exiles to seek the welfare of the city and to pray to the Lord for it. For in its welfare, you will find your welfare. Rabbi Abraham Heschel once said that words create worlds. The prophet Jeremiah's words remind us that we are inextricably linked to each other, and they call us to direct our greatest efforts to the places of greatest need. From Martindale Brightwood to Meridian Kessler, we seek the well-being of our entire city and the earth upon which it rests. Indianapolis has come quite a distance in 200 years, from shoulder-swinging jazz music on Indiana Avenue to the best ice cream in Broad Ripple. But we have miles to go before we sleep. We've been inspired by the courageous leadership of the Honorable Julia Carson and Virginia Dill McCarty, intrigued by the provocative writings of Kurt Vonnegut, and invigorated by the justice-oriented advocacy of Amos Brown. But the task at hand is to look 200 years ahead and not behind. Help us, O God, to focus our words and deeds on creating a future filled with hope for all of our children. For we are all your beloved children, created in your image. Grant us grace and stamina to follow in your way of doing justice, loving mercy, and walking humbly with you. In your name we pray, amen.
Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Public Safety Honor Guard. Please remain standing for our national anthem, performed by the Indianapolis Men's Chorus. Founded in 1990 and directed by Greg Sanders, the Indianapolis Men's Chorus is poised to celebrate its 30th season this fall. The IMC entertains, educates, and promotes inclusive community through musical excellence. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Gloria Perez, Deyanira Hernandez, and Tracy Guerrero, members of Access, the city's Latinx young professionals group.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
200 years ago, our city wasn't a city. It was a swamp, a forest, a settlement on the edge of Fall Creek. We've come pretty far, from hog pens to high-rises, from saloons to stadiums, from Indiana no place to the tech capital of the Midwest.
2021, when our great city hosts the NBA All-Star Game.
Throughout our city's history, we have built on the successes of those who came before us. Because standing on the shoulders of giants allows us to see further, dream bigger, and aim higher. In 2019, nearly 200 years after our arrival, we are preparing to meet the challenges of a new frontier. As one city, we're making investments in today that will bring us safer streets and better roads, all while making investments in tomorrow by lifting up the next generation of young leaders. As one city, we're building up our neighborhoods and we're helping more families achieve the American dream. Instead of pulling apart, we've pulled together. And by doing so, we have moved a city. From the public and the private, from the left and the right, we have met in the middle and shown all of America how a city in the center can be on the leading edge.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Joe Hogsett and First Lady Steph Hogsett.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and good evening. Of course, it was Indianapolis that would be the first to build a Union Station, a structure bringing together all rail lines serving the city. By the 1850s, mere decades after our founding, our city was already accustomed to its role as the crossroads of America for an ever-expanding nation. In this building, a city, a country, really, came together to get where we needed to go. And just as importantly, it was here that our city could see itself and see itself completely. For Union Station would live up to its name. Its patrons were rich and poor, male and female, young and old, many faiths, races, and professions, united in a single space. This remains true about Indianapolis today. It is a city that brings people together. We saw it 3 days ago at the 500-mile race. For over a century now, this event brings together more people in one place than any other day in all of sport. We see it daily at our award-winning airport, one listed as the best in North America, 7 years running. It attracts travelers from all over the globe and gets them on their way as smoothly as possible. And of course, we also bring people together in our local government, one that is stubbornly functional in a time when that is all too uncommon. True, we may not always agree from the outset, but in Indianapolis, we are united in our purpose. And the benefits of that approach have never been more apparent. Indianapolis continues to grow a dynamic economy. We're building an even more competitive business climate, and neighborhood by neighborhood, a vibrant quality of life that appeals to both people and employers alike. Our status as tech capital of the Midwest was reinforced last year when we broke ground on the new Emphasis campus at the site of the old airport terminal. And with those shovels came a commitment to add 3,000 jobs to our local economy. A few weeks after that, we broke ground at 16 Tech, our new innovation district, the direct result of partnerships among communities, companies, philanthropies, and the city itself. Now, at 3.6% unemployment, our efforts have moved from the quantity of jobs to the quality of jobs, increasing earning power for all of our residents. And when it does come to earning power, 2018 was a very good year. We attracted nearly 7,000 new jobs with an average wage of more than $31 per hour, 10% higher than 2017. However, access to these jobs and the cost for the education they require remain out of reach for many. Therefore, over the last 3 years, we have prioritized the attraction of industries of the future while investing in underappreciated communities, developing programs that broaden access to jobs and good quality education. It's critical that we make sure young workers have the experience and the skills that employers want, which is why Project Indy, our summer jobs program, connected 3,500 young adults to a job last summer. That makes more than 6,500 young people who have been served since Project Indy was created. Meanwhile, Employ Indy has worked with more than 1,700 employers to develop talent pipelines that address labor force needs. Together, we have helped connect almost 9,000 residents to adult basic education, post-secondary education, jobs, and job training. And overall, this year, we're on track to place 1,000 adults in careers at an average hourly wage of over $17 an hour. Last May, we launched Indy Achieves, an education program that will provide millions of dollars in scholarships and grants to Marion County young people and adults attending Ivy Tech or IUPUI. Already, Indy Achieves has connected more than 300 students with 100 professional mentors who can help them complete the college enrollment process. Indy Achieves is also working to support students once they are enrolled. This fall, Indy Achieves will award the first round of Promise scholarships and completion grants to hundreds of Marion County students. In other cities where similar investments were made, the result wasn't just greater educational attainment. Importantly, these programs have leveled the playing field and reduced attainment gaps tied to race and socioeconomic status. An inclusive talent pipeline ready to fill the jobs of the 21st century. Growing industries finding success in Indianapolis. These gains will echo for generations. We cannot, however, let this progress obscure the challenges that remain. As prosperity grows, we must redouble our commitment to ensure that Indianapolis neighborhoods, all of our neighborhoods, continue to be open and welcoming for working families. Preserving and creating new affordable housing has been the cornerstone of our investment in neighborhoods. By using economic development tools that catalyzed growth in our downtown, we can do the same throughout our city. From Fountain Square to the Mile Square, from International Marketplace to Monon 16, from East Washington Street to Broad Ripple, from Nora to Perry Township and the Near West area. We have been and we must continue to increase affordable housing opportunities in every neighborhood. All of this is done in addition to supporting grassroots efforts to create and preserve long-term affordability in neighborhoods where values are rapidly appreciating. It is critical for us, if we are truly going to be an inclusive and diverse city, it is critical that we ensure neighborhoods will continue to have housing options available for people of all incomes. That is what inclusive means. That we choose not to be divided by our income, our education, or our race. The city celebrated when we were awarded $55 million in New Markets tax credits in 2016. With this award, the city helped finance construction of Riverside High School, the Ortho Indy Foundation YMCA in Pike Township, and the Phoenix Theater. Our final major project from that 2016 round, the rehabilitation of the P.R. Mallory campus on the Near East Side, will include 2 mayoral-sponsored charter schools, along with several local businesses, bringing back opportunity to a site that once employed thousands at the height of an industrial economy. And tonight, as we look ahead at what it means to invest in our neighborhoods, we have yet another reason to celebrate. After a competitive application process, we have just learned that, due in no small part to our successful deployment of our 2016 award, the City of Indianapolis will receive another allocation of $55 million in New Markets tax credits from the U.S. Department of the Treasury. With this latest round of New Markets funding, only the third for our city since the program began nearly 2 decades ago, we'll seek equally impactful projects that will bring new investment and opportunities to many of our neighborhoods. In order to ensure continued prosperity in Indianapolis, we must also continue to improve the safety of all neighborhoods as well. So I am glad to report that in the first 3 months of this year, we have experienced a 10% decrease in our most violent crimes, an 11% decrease in aggravated assaults, and a 22% decrease in the number of homicides in Indianapolis. Now, those figures do not speak for every headline, every neighborhood, or every block. But I will say this. After a return to beat policing, a focus on treatment rather than incarceration for mental health and addiction issues, after the appointment of a director of community violence reduction and now 4 peacemakers, after a host of violence reduction grants to community groups throughout our city, after all of this and more, the rate of crime in Indianapolis is on decline. Thank you. Progress cannot lead to complacency, however. The work of ridding our streets of violence is ongoing, and so today we are investing even more in our efforts to accelerate these downward trends. Thanks to the work of my colleagues on the City-County Council, by the end of 2019, we will have fully funded a net increase of 150 police officers over 2015 operational staffing levels. And last April, increased staffing allowed IMPD to return to community-based beat policing citywide. 78 new beats allowed officers to get out of their cars and build stronger relationships with those they serve. In 2019, IMPD will enhance beat-oriented policing. Thanks to the direct feedback from our districts, from commanders to the rank and file officers, we will shrink the geographic area of beats while increasing the total number to 106 beats by the end of this year. And last January, we launched the Crime Gun Intelligence Center, a multi-agency collaboration which allows us to harness the power of technology to disrupt the cycle of gun violence by identifying serial shooters. This effort has already led to 115 arrests and the seizure of 66 crime guns from our community. A few short years ago, whenever police responded to a disruption caused by mental illness or substance abuse, the legal response was jail or an emergency room, both costly and ineffective. In 2017, we launched the MCAT program, pairing police with mental health clinicians to better address the problem and keep those who don't belong in jail out of jail and in treatment programs. Thank you. The success of these teams is demonstrated by a 67% increase in referrals to the MCAT program, rather than to immediate detention or police custody. To put it plainly, more than 1,200 incidents where we have started folks on routes to recovery rather than jail. Tonight we are joined by members of the MCAT team from Midtown Mental Health, as well as IMPD. And while I am glad to recognize the work they have done over these last 18 months, tonight we celebrate the work that they will do thanks to a nearly $1.3 million grant from the state's Division of Mental Health and Addiction. These funds will allow us to expand the MCAT program. We will be able to increase their hours and ensure even better continuity of care for our residents. Over the next year, we will accelerate efforts to better engage teens who are already involved with crime. You know, each day, courts provide records to IMPD of juveniles released from detention or those who are wanted for arrest. Without any intervention, these young people are at risk of committing violent crime. That cannot be ignored. So before this year is over, we will hire 2 more peacemakers, resource coordinators, focused on making these types of meaningful interventions. These new peacemakers will focus on teenagers, a demographic that has become unacceptably high in terms of violent crime victims and violent crime perpetrators. In partnership with IMPD and our criminal justice partners, these new peacemakers will work to connect these young people to services that will keep them safe, alive, and out of jail. But again, we must not be content with improvement. We must always seek to build on success. And in conversations I've had with community groups such as Faith in Indiana, it is clear there is more we can do to bring to bear successful programming from other cities in our fight against violent crime. Thank you, Faith in Indiana. So tonight, I am proud to announce that we'll be investing even more in the Peacemaker Initiative. Working with community partners and members of our faith community, we will invest an additional $100,000 in further training and services, providing peacemakers with access to more and better data, more sophisticated analysis of individual shootings, and advanced technical training. Our objective is simple: smarter, more effective interventions at an early age. Thank you. Now, at the beginning of these remarks tonight, I noted that our city distinguished itself early on as a powerful point of connection. Indeed, we aren't the crossroads of Marion County. We are the crossroads of America. For nearly 200 years, the infrastructure in this city has served as a critical hub for the transport of goods, ideas, and these days, commuters. It's not a boast, it's a statement of fact. Indianapolis is the economic engine for our region and for our state. As a result, more than 160,000 commuters drive into our city every day, with tens of thousands more attending conventions, sports, entertainment, arts events, cultural facilities. And with the income taxes paid by these commuters exclusively benefiting the counties where they live, Marion County taxpayers bear the brunt of the financial burden for infrastructure which serves the entire region. To their credit, leaders in Indianapolis have come together in the past and found temporary solutions to our infrastructure challenges. I'm proud that working together with the City County Council, we were able to unanimously pass a 4-year infrastructure plan that will bring more than $400 million to bear on our bridges, streets, and sidewalks. But the truth is also, after decades of underfunding, it is abundantly clear that any solution for Marion County's infrastructure problems must include help from all who routinely use that infrastructure. And thankfully, others outside Marion County agree, with leadership from Fisher's Mayor Scott Fadness, along with mayors and officials from across the region. The Central Indiana Council of Elected Officials Working Group, one of Mayor Greg Ballard's finest legacies, has been working for the last 2 years on that very issue. Their discussions in seeking to discover ways we can acknowledge the interconnected nature of our state's economy are critical, while providing greater equity within the region when it comes to road infrastructure funding. And I am exceedingly grateful for their leadership. So tonight, I am proud to present our city's contribution to this regional dialogue. This evening, we are releasing a new concept for regional infrastructure funding. It can be found at sotc.indy.gov. sotc.indy.gov. First and foremost, the concepts that you will find there do not redirect one dime of revenues currently enjoyed by our city or by our neighbors. Rather, it would seek to dedicate a portion of future income tax growth to a regional infrastructure fund. By linking this contribution directly to the way a county's residents use infrastructure across jurisdictional lines, the Regional Infrastructure Fund could provide tens of millions of dollars in new funding without a tax increase. And importantly, this isn't designed to solely help Indianapolis. In fact, under the model we are releasing tonight, 5 of the 9 counties in our region would actually see an increase in their infrastructure funding by participating. These ideas are exciting, and their time has come. And I recognize that our administration does not have a monopoly on good ideas, which is why I'm also proud to announce that in partnership with the nonpartisan Greater Indianapolis Progress Committee, we will be discussing ideas that are proposed to address our infrastructure needs at upcoming community-wide meetings. So I have a message to each and every resident tonight. Come be a part of this historic opportunity to secure the future of our region's long-term infrastructure success. We have also seen progress on our infrastructure below the regional level as well. For one, we are continuing to turn the lights back on in Indianapolis. As of last week, IPL crews have retrofitted 9,272 lights to be cost and energy efficient LEDs. That's over 1/3 of all city-paid streetlights. And since October, we have approved nearly 600 new streetlights to brighten more neighborhoods throughout our city. Second, as technology improves, we must continue to take advantage of the digital tools that can help us. Through Indy 3.0, we are on the cusp of a fully digital government presence. The Neighborhood Investment Portal website that we launched tonight is a dramatic example. An interactive map allows citizens to visualize some of the major city efforts from 2018 to 2020, from streetlights and roadways to public safety and the construction of our new community justice campus. This tool helps bring a new level of transparency and clarity to our work here in this city. Friends, neighbors, we are blessed to live in a city that continues to excel. If you take nothing else from this evening, please remember this. Our success over the preceding half-century was no accident. From the downtown canal to the Pan American Games to Georgia Street and hosting the greatest Super Bowl celebration ever, we accomplished these things because a spirit of collaboration and optimism prevailed. And in the last year, thanks in no small part to the people in this room, we have seen projects come together that affirm what we all know. Our city's best days are truly ahead of us. The progress isn't just being felt by those who live and work downtown, but also by those from across the city and frankly around the world who come here to play. Thanks to bipartisan collaboration at the Indiana General Assembly, we stand on the cusp of implementing a 25-year funding plan for the Capital Improvement Board that will see us invest in our premier public venues, add new public plaza space and better connectivity to Georgia Street, and secure the presence of our key professional sports teams. All of this without adding one penny in new taxes or fees on Indiana taxpayers. I am proud of this 25-year vision we have crafted. Indeed, our convention, sports, and entertainment industry employs more than 80,000 people in our city and continues to provide a return on investment to taxpayers. And beyond the accomplishment in and of itself, I'm perhaps most proud of the way we went about doing it. By bringing people together, leaders from across the state, from all parties, showing what bipartisan progress really looks like. And it's because of this success, both in bridging partisan divides and building a multi-decade path forward for critical downtown assets, that I stand before you tonight confident that we can apply these same principles to one of the great challenges facing Indianapolis, that of food insecurity and limited food access in our neighborhoods. Next week, I will submit to the Council a plan for a significant investment in programming to address food access in the city. This plan will invest in programming like our Food Compass technology, an innovative web app to connect food insecure residents with locations of food pantries, eligibility information, and other resources. This plan will also invest in programming like the Neighborhood Food Champions program. Here, residents who are engaged in addressing food access in their neighborhoods are identified and uplifted. They are also provided with training and resources that help them develop alternative food retail options. This plan also invests in the LIFT project, LYFT, which provides families living in a neighborhood without a grocery store with subsidized Lyft rideshare rates. And I am particularly proud that this plan will invest in programming that may well create the city's first truly mobile grocery market to solve the problem of a lack of brick and mortar grocery stores in our neighborhoods. This concept of a mobile market would provide retail grocery produce at various locations 6 days a week. These are critical investments. Indeed, if we are capable of planning and investing in long-term strategies for our downtown, then we must make the same commitment to other compelling issues that affect our underappreciated neighborhoods. And that is why I'm announcing my intention tonight to work with President Vop Osili, Leader Mike McQuillan, and all of my partners on the City County Council to submit with this year's budget a 25-year plan to provide annual funding for food access and other neighborhood investments. In this way, we can assure that programming which benefits our struggling neighborhoods will be secured for decades to come. Earlier this month, Indiana said goodbye to two of its greatest statesmen, Senators Richard Lugar and Birch Bayh. It is tempting to say that with their passing, an era of Hoosier politics is gone. While it is true that these two men served in a different time, their principles, their ethic, their integrity are timeless, and they are still very much a part of our Hoosier character. These men both championed a plain-spoken, fair-minded approach, as bold in their time as it is today. When then Mayor Lugar saw a region that would be stronger united than divided, he acted boldly. When Senator Bayh saw that the academic ambitions of young women could finally be realized by uniting them with their male counterparts, he acted boldly. In this time, in this place, our city's demonstrations of unity are equally bold. I see them everywhere. I see it in our collective advocacy. I see it in our neighborhood cleanups. I see it in our neighborhood gardens. I see it in our neighborhood block parties. I see it in the Indianapolis cultural renaissance, our international markets, diverse art and music festivals, and in our record-breaking tourism. And I saw it on a cool October night last year at the Indianapolis Hebrew congregation when, after a tragedy in a Pittsburgh synagogue, our city came together, nearly bursting the walls with our numbers. We sought to assure our Jewish neighbors, and thereby neighbors of any faith, that we belong together. Our city continues to succeed because we know the best ideas come from our neighborhoods. They don't happen to them. We continue to succeed because we know strength comes from a civic tapestry that is woven together with diverse passions and dreams. And Indianapolis continues to succeed because we have been blessed by a series of bold and bipartisan civic leaders that have always stepped forward, generation after generation, to ensure that our city does not fall victim to the siren song of contentment. Why do I tell you this? Because there is no inevitability to our city's progress. The things we've accomplished over the last 3.5 years happened because we as a city were bold enough to dream big. And then we simply loved each other and our city enough to make those common dreams real. Our economy is thriving for the first time in a long time. The benefits of those gains are more equally shared. Our city finances are in the black, and for the first time in a long time, bipartisanship is alive and well in our city. Our city's streets and sidewalks are being repaired, and for the first time, we are prepared to work together toward a long-term plan to sustain that progress for years to come. And after more than a decade of rising violent crime, we have encouraging signs that for the first time in a long time, peace is ascendant on the streets of Indianapolis. Hope and healing, peace and progress. That, my friends, is the state of our city. I thank you.